Right, you are.
And welcome our distinguished guests. Miss Sally Schreiner, the president of the auxiliary, and Susan Gentry, the vice president, and of course, Dee Dee is the liaison with the firefighters for the auxiliary, and welcome. We will start with the pledge of allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have, our treasurer, Mike Seaver, has an excused absence, and, Mr. Primer has an excused absence. Meredith,
I'm here.
yes, and Carla.
Here.
And we do have a quorum with the three of us. Additions or deletions to the agenda. I have, one. I'd like to add number 5.4 under new business, special meeting, for discussion and action. We'll need a special meeting because of deadlines concerning the ballot initiative. And I'll explain that when we get to that item. Any other additions, deletions? Are there any conflicts of interest of the board related to the agenda items?
No.
Okay, I will ask for a motion for approval of the minutes from June 25th, which will be distributed on the website.
I move that we approve the minutes. Second.
Okay, any discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So ordered. Reports, treasurer's report. Mike is not here, but he did ask that someone read his report, Meredith.
Sure, I'll read.
Just the first page.
For the period covering June 2026, the district's total expenditures were $14,107. Expenditures included $7,256 in payroll expenses, $2,428 in vehicle maintenance and fuel, $1,851 in facility upkeep, and $1,876 for the slash day dumpster use. The remaining $696 covered miscellaneous operating, administrative, and capital requirements. For revenue, the district's total collected revenue is $13,996. This included $13,695 in tax revenue and $300 in permit fees. Financial standing, the district's Apollo Trust Plus Money Market Savings Account has a balance of $450,000, $450,370. Year-to-date interest income is $7,051, and the Wells Fargo checking account had an ending balance of $7,701.
Okay, I do have.
If there are any questions, I can't really answer that.
Yeah.
Actually, Chief might.
I can answer questions.
Why, what was the big expense on the station repair?
We had a roof, let's see here, we had a roof repair. We've had to have two roof repairs. One at station 81 and one at station 82. There was both of them have experienced leaks going through the metal roofing.
Huh?
So that's the biggest expense for both of those
Then
stations.
there was something about a garage door.
There was a garage door at station 83, and that might be also included in that. I believe that was might have been the last, it was included in this one, okay. But those are the big ones. We've had a couple of things like that. The garage door at station 83, the garage door opener had basically completely failed, so they had to do a full replacement of it. Of the actual opening mechanism itself.
Okay, that's why it was so expensive.
Yeah, and those are big garage doors, so it's gonna be quite a bit more expensive than like a saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just like to point out that I believe you almost balanced out slash stay
We got very, very
Close
close.
to, even.
Yeah, we do have some, I mean, that's why we had money set aside for community outreach and some of the other line items for that. The slash day was very, very successful. The cost of dumpsters for removal has gone up since we did this last year. And when we budgeted for the year, we actually had gone off of last year's prices, but the prices for dumpsters have gone up almost 20%. So unfortunately, the haul off cost is gonna be something that we have to carry a little bit of the balance of moving forward. Unless we increase our costs for dumping or for remove or for per load of slash, which we really don't want to do. At this point, I would prefer to keep the price stable for the year, and then look at reevaluating for next year.
And Jeffco did, donate the use of the one.
Yeah.
Is that right?
So Jeffco donated the use of the chipper and their crew. And then we also are not, paying any, fee for actually disposing of the material. Normally that would be a separate fee, which is quite a bit actually to dispose of that much material. And that is because of Jefferson Conservation District and the slash program. So what happens is that we are collecting the material here, we chip it into the dumpsters. And then it gets taken to Tin Cup Ridge, to the big sort yard that's been established on Tin Cup Ridge, and then that's where they collect all of those chips at no charge to the district.
Okay, the term I was looking for was break even.
Yeah, we're not gonna, at this point, unless we have a higher turnout.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be breaking even on the dumpsters just because of the cost.
Yeah, gotcha. But it was close.
It was close. Yeah, it was close.
Now, Kyle, Tin Cup, because I had to take more slash after slash, they charge 24. So
Correct.
even if you guys did 24, I don't think that would be
And
bad.
I think in the future, we are gonna look at that. We did want it to make it a little bit more economical. But
Right.
there's a reason that 24 would probably span the gap, where we would need it to be for covering the cost of the dumpsters. So next year we will look at that, but we've already done all the advertising
Right,
at $20 a load. And we wanna not surprise anybody with that.
because they actually charged me 32 for one because we stacked it extra high
Yeah.
and then smushed it.
And just a reminder, I know, like, in the chief's report, we are doing 2 more of those, so there's 2 more.
The next one is at station 82.
82,
What's the
and
date?
it's in August, and I cannot, it's in my report.
August 15th.
Thank you. There is a copy of the complete financial report with all the, everything, which we are not allowed, can't post it on the website. So anybody wants a copy of the complete financial report, we always have them available. I have one here, and if multitude of people want them, I can get them to them.
There is one other thing I would like to touch on this, it does feel like we are spending a lot of money on fleet repair. But I want to reiterate how much work we're getting done for that amount of money is just incredible, and that program is so efficient for us, both time wise and cost wise, that we are being able to maintain the fleet at a level that has never happened here. From that, since I've been here and before I was here. And a lot of it is due to the city of Golden and their willingness to work with us, but they're charging us an hourly rate to work on our heavy equipment that is 1/3 of what it would cost for us to be using another contractor. So it's something.
Going forward, that's gonna be.
Yes.
Key.
It is.
Just
Yeah.
really important, so that's wonderful. Okay, chief's report is next.
Okay. Hold up.
Are y'all filling that annual of their?
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
just barely.
Before I start going into what's actually written in the report, there is something that I want to talk about. That is very important today. As of today, the messaging for evacuation across Jefferson County and actually across a bunch of the counties in the
Heard that
front.
announcement on NPR.
Yeah, it is a big deal. There's a huge push. Golden Gate Fire is part of this. Our crew filmed a video about it today. They should be out tomorrow or by the Saturday, I'd imagine. But the terminology for evacuation in the county has changed. So we have an evacuation warning, which is going to be the same thing as a pre-evacuation. So that is we need to make sure you're getting ready to go. If you have large animals, start evacuation. If you have if you feel the need to evacuate and you don't want to be evacuating with everybody at the same time as everybody else, that's a time for you to start evacuation. So that's an evacuation warning, and then there's gonna be an evacuation order. An evacuation order is a mandatory evacuation, a legal mandatory evacuation. It will be ordered by the sheriff's office, or the authority having jurisdiction, which would be myself. Or whoever will be an incident commander at the time. It will be communicated as an evacuation order. There will be no more ready, set, go, red, blue, green, yellow, whatever we were doing in the past. There's been so many different iterations of evacuation warnings. There's 2 of them. They're very clear, and that's what we're gonna be using. The other thing that's important is that we, as of today, designated a siren sound from both Jefferson County Sheriff's Office and our fire district that will correspond with a evacuation order. It is called a high-low siren. If you, it is on every single news station today, it is on NPR, it is everywhere. Golden Gate Fire has produced a video or is producing a video. And we were gonna be putting it out on our social media over the next week. But that siren tone, it sounds like a high tone and a low tone, the high tone, low tone. When you hear that siren, it will only be used when we're doing a mandatory evacuation. And the reason that we're doing that is because we just are to the point where we can't count on everybody having lookout alert. We can't count on, us being able to find every single home, especially the police department. We've experienced this during the quarry fire, where they were going through the backside trying to evacuate the Sinton Road neighborhood. And there were homes that were missed, there were people who didn't get notified, and we have to have some kind of portable audible signal. And it has been decided that that is going to be it, that siren designation. So if you ever hear that, it means you need to leave.
And that
So
comes from the sheriff.
it's coming directly from the sheriff, and it's gonna be universal from Jefferson County and a bunch of the surrounding counties. The verbiage that we're gonna be using is high, low, time to go. So you're gonna hear that phrase over and over and over again for the next month, I think. And beyond that, as we start to talk, as we get into the season every year, high, low, time to go, mandatory evacuation. So I just wanna make sure that we brought that up. It is, like I said, you can Google it, all the news stations are covering it tonight. All the radio stations, it is everywhere, and it will be everywhere for a while.
So that'll come across everyone's cell phones too, like an
Yeah,
Amber
so the
Alert.
same thing will happen, if you have, especially if you have lookout alert,
Mhm.
or you sign up for lookout alerts, it will come through the same way as it normally does, but in order to make sure we're capturing everybody. We needed to have different methods of communicating the evacuation, and that's what we're using.
Does your video that you're doing explain that? Is that
Yes.
what the video's about?
Yeah, I was not there when they have been working on this, but they should be using the same verbiage that we are using for Jefferson County. Sheriff's Office and all the other fire districts that have been doing this today.
And where will the video be?
It'll be on our social media pages and
Okay,
also on the website.
would you send me a link to that, so when our email person comes back, I can send it
Sure.
out to the entire
Yes.
neighborhood? Thank
Yeah.
you.
So that was the first thing. All right, now we'll go into the written stuff. There is a lot in this report, so I apologize. This might be a little bit longer than some of the other ones. I will try to do my best to keep it brief. We are still currently in stage 2 fire restrictions. Stage 2 fire restrictions constitute a legal burn ban. If you start a fire that is outside of that is within the parameters of the burn ban, you will be held legally responsible for doing so, and you will receive fines for doing so. I want to make that very clear. Anybody who violates the burn ban will receive a citation and a fine. Straight. That will occur. This Jefferson County's not messing around, we're not messing around. When we're in a stage 2, that is what will happen. It's also important for us to recognize that State Park is separate from the rest of the county, or rest of the district as far as their fire restrictions. So while the state park is covered by Golden Gate Fire Protection District, there are outside of our authority having jurisdiction. And therefore, they fall within the fire restrictions that are mandated by the State Forest Service. Not by us, not by Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. So the the park itself may have longer stage 2 fire restrictions, or they may come out of fire restrictions earlier than we do, they may go into fire restrictions earlier than we do. So they are different, and we've had I won't wanna call it a rash of people calling the district about concerns. But we've had fielded several phone calls in the last 2 weeks about differences between the two fire bans. Because of the inholdings within the park, and then also people who are camping within the park that are within the district. So that is just something to be aware of, that they are different. Let's see here.
There is a fire ban on right now, so the signs.
Correct, yeah, they are also in a fire ban. Yeah, they're in a stage 2 fire ban, and I actually think their fire ban requirement or fire ban restrictions are more stringent than Jefferson County's are.
Oh.
What was that?
Their signs are bigger.
Their signs are bigger, yeah. But they're, like I said, the fine line or the actual legal ramifications in the park are different than they are for the county. And their requirements are slightly different than the county itself as well. Wildland Fire Management is still cruising with hiring. We met with them this morning. They brought on Dory Dalton, who was one of the Wildland Fire Home Assessment managers for Evergreen Fire, on as their lead home assessment or lead for home assessments. She is spectacular. She has already been in touch with our home assessments crew, and is working with them. McKenna Shaw is now their community engagement lead. She will be up in the district. She was up actually with me last week or the week before, shooting a series of videos for the county about the wildland fire management team, wildland fire mitigation, how it pertains to our environment here in Golden Gate, and how that interacts with the entirety of the environment of Jefferson County. So we have been really working heavily with them recently. And they're gonna continue to be up here quite a bit. Nationally, the wildland fire resources throughout the entire nation are at our maximum capacity. We are at what's called PL5, preparedness level 5. Which basically means that we are all the way sprained. All of the resources that we have locally, all the resources we have nationally, they're at their maximum level of spraying. And that comes from fires that are happening in northern Minnesota, fires that are happening throughout the West. And some of the fires that are happening in other parts of the country that we don't necessarily see as common, especially this time of year. But we even locally have been sending quite a few resources to Minnesota. Because they are really experiencing some really severe fire behavior right now up there in northern Minnesota. We are still monitoring our resource needs locally and regionally here for Colorado. But after conversations with our leadership team and evaluating our current fleet capabilities, we have made the somewhat difficult decision to say that we are not going to allow our apparatus to travel outside of the state. We are not gonna allow our apparatus to actually travel outside of our region. We just don't feel that they are reliable enough at this point to be able to have them assigned to a task like that. We would like to be able to do that in the future. That would be a great thing for our firefighters, be a great thing for our fire district. We just don't trust our capabilities. Our firefighters very much have the capabilities of doing it. We have firefighters go out with single resources out of state already. But we do not be able to have our fleet. It's just not a smart idea for us. So we're gonna be holding them here. Admin, we talked about the fleet services thing earlier. It's been spectacular. we have gone through a battery of issues that we've had longstanding with the trucks, and they have fixed every single one of them down to things that have been longstanding issues with our command vehicles since we got them from State Patrol. And they just work through them so diligently. And I wanna put out another huge thank you to firefighter Tina Gustafson, and also Captain Vocal, who have really been just keeping that bay full of our trucks so that they get work done. And we are very close to the point where we are at a level where everything is at basically nothing is broken, as good as it can be. And that's gonna be a big thing for us. So huge thank you to those guys. As you guys have probably seen, we have our first fire danger sign outside. At Station 83, our long-term goal is to increase the signage for fire danger throughout the district. This is just the first of those signs. Those signs are not cheap. I believe that one was $1,700. And that still required our firefighters to install it. And also do the custom woodworking that said Station 83 on it, that was donated by one of our firefighters. So as we continue to try to increase our communications through signage, it will be a relatively significant capital cost for us moving forward. And we will probably have to budget for it for the next several years. But I want to thank everybody who helped make that project possible, and the firefighters who spent the better part of a day digging post holes and putting in concrete and putting that whole thing together, because it was a big lift for them to do that. And I do think it's a really important thing for us to communicate with our visitors, as we talked about with the egress tones earlier, or the evacuation tones, different things, my apologies. The evacuation tones, a lot of people who come through this district, they don't interact with the fire department at all. They don't go onto our website, they don't go onto our social media, they don't know anything that's happening here. And we have to find a better way to communicate with them about what is happening here, and that is how we do it. And I'm really pleased that that was so successful, and we're gonna continue to do that. Let's see here. We have a draft IGA for fire marshal services with the city of Golden. It is under legal review by both legal teams, both our legal team and Golden's legal team. It is from my view, a very simple and bonkers IGA. I don't anticipate us having any issues on either side. I'm hoping that we have that agreement to the board for adoption before the end of the quarter. We all know how slow legal review can go sometimes. But I'm hoping due to its simplicity, that we should have it hopefully by the end of the quarter for us to adopt. Just so we all know, City of Golden is already helping us with a lot in return or in regards to fire marshal service, review codes, all that. We have a record number of homes being built in Golden Gate Canyon right now. I don't know the exact number, but based off of the things that we have approved or in the pipeline, I think we're approaching 20 at this point. Yes, so there is a lot being built. They are large, complicated structures on complicated driveways. That we have they have created a lot of work for the district. And it is a very large multiples of what I've seen, or going back through previous records, is probably more than we've had in the last decade. I do not know what has caused it. I don't know if there is truly a causation, or it's just that everyone feels like it's a good time to build a house in Golden Gate Canyons. But there's a lot of it going on. Let's see here. We are still on schedule for the transition of ambulance services to Stadia Medical to Platte Valley Health on September 1st. We are going to begin orientation and familiarization for both Golden Gate Fires crews as well as Platte Valley staff in August. There's gonna be some media activity around that as well in mid-August, and also through September. So be aware there may be media presence, during that transition time. Folks may or may not know, there's a lot happening with Platte Valley Health as an organization in Denver as well. There's a merger happening between Platte Valley Health and another large system here. The EMS system is growing really quickly. There's a lot happening with Platte Valley Health's parent company, which is Intermountain Health. And so there's just a lot going on with that. Let's see here. We had our first annual summer picnic for staff. It was really awesome. It was held at Aid Station 81. We had a really good turnout. Unfortunately, we had to respond to 3 calls during the middle of it. But we had a really great event, and it was big thank you to firefighter Drew Kenyon, who really pulled out all the stops to make that event a success, and it really was spectacular.
And she was one of the people that gathered her gear and jumped on a fire truck. I
Yes,
was there and it was just amazing. The beepers went off. And it was like synchronized swimming. They all grabbed, I mean, it was like watching a synchronized thing. They all got their gear, they got in their trucks, they drove off.
yes. Yeah, it was three
Three times.
I think we had 3 calls in 4 hours.
Yeah.
Let's see here. The other big change that you will notice that's coming to the district is that we have made the decision as an operational staff to allow our command staff to have the option of putting emergency vehicle equipment on their personal vehicles. This is a very, very big change for the district. And it in some respects may feel like a step back. That was something that was very common with emergency services in the previous decades. And what we have basically found is that a very large portion of our lieutenant staff and above is working in Golden or within a reasonable proximity to the bottom of the canyon during the day. And when we have a call, they are getting stuck either on the way to the call, going through traffic on the lower portions of Golden or Arvada or wherever they are, and also getting stuck behind vehicles coming up the canyon. And we have made the decision that in order to improve our response time, not necessarily of our trucks, but of our command staff on the scene in order to better facilitate or best facilitate scene safety and oversight, that we are going to allow them to have lights and sirens on their vehicles. It will be, there will be 2 tiers to this. The first will be a red light only that will be provided to senior operational staff for their personal vehicles that will not have a siren. It is a request for the vehicle in front of them to pull off to the side to let them pass. It is not an allowable light for them to be able to go far beyond the speed limit. They will have no siren. They will not be able to go through emergency light or through lights in town. It is only to be used for themselves within the fire district. The next step is the full emergency vehicle lights. And that will be full lights, sirens, everything. They have to meet the Department of Transportation's requirements for emergency vehicle lighting. And that will come at their own cost, for them to be able to do that. The red lights are something that the district is going to provide. It's not a very expensive thing for us. And we are gonna provide that for the lieutenants that would like to have it. Insurance, it is their personal vehicle. The district does not cover their insurance, whether they are responding to a call, emergent or not. They are not under our insurance until they are on scene. So there's been quite a few questions about that in general. So they are liable for themselves driving that vehicle. The district is not liable for that. They are to operate under what's called due regard. They will operate the same as we would in a fire truck. But that is a very big change for our district and it should be for the better. The other thing that is operationally gonna change with that is that when we have significant events within the fire district. The first responding officer will be able to go emergent to a scene without stopping at a fire station to get a fire truck. And that is to be able to establish incident command and scene oversight. That is another very big change to the way that we operate here.
So they can take their personal.
They will be able to take their personal vehicles to that. The first truck that will be undergoing this, we've already submitted for approval for, will be Chief Enright's personal vehicle. So that he can respond from work and from Arvada when we have large events. We've had several in the last couple of weeks where he's had to respond from town and has been delayed because of one thing or the other, and we need to address that issue. So just know that that's a change. And know that when we have fire department vehicles with personal vehicles traveling in the district with lights, that it is being authorized by the fire district.
Can I ask a question? You said senior staff, so of course, Chief Enright, and then would that be captains and lieutenants? or-
Captains and lieutenants, yep, firefighter staff, mitigation staff, wildland fire staff, EMS staff only are not going to be eligible for this. It is for senior staff only.
What's
Yeah,
the cost,
officers only.
what's the cost of outfitting their car?
An emergency vehicle for full EV lights is about $1,000 per
They're
vehicle.
responsible for that?
That's for the full EV setup, they're responsible for that. The district did pay for Chief Enright to have lights on his vehicle because at this point, I feel like it's a necessity. And I did take on that cost for him. It will not be beyond that for everyone else. The red light bars, they are at, I think they're $150 each. Maybe a little bit more than that, but they're much lower cost for the district, and that's why that's the first step, and we will provide that for the firefighter or for our lieutenants and above. Should they decide that they would like to do that. It is not something that I expect all of them to do. It is not an expectation. It's not a requirement. It is an option.
What is your number of senior staff
We
that
have-
could if they want?
We have 3 captains, 2 chiefs, and 5 lieutenants. So just with that, I just wanna keep going here. We already went through the slash, October 15th and August 15th and October 3rd, those are the next slash days. August 15th is at Station 82, October 3rd is at Station 81. Please help spread the word about slash to the community. We had a great turnout, the first one, we'd love to have just as many people come to the last 2. Mitigation is not a spring event, it is an all year round event. And we know that people are working on it all the way through the winter, and we would like to see them be able to have access to that through October. CPR class at the Grange, the next here is October 24th. You do need to sign up for that in advance, and I believe the sign up is either through the Grange, either the Grange or through the district through firefighter opinion. Grants. So, VFA grants. I have not received a official letter. However, I did receive an unofficial notice that we will be receiving the VFA match grant for wildland fire shelters and line packs. There is a little bit of a hang up with that on the funding side coming from the federal government. But it does sound like will be awarded that $5,487. The AFG grant, which is the $720,000 grant for a 95% cost share for a wildland urban interface truck. Has been submitted. We have not heard back. I do believe that we would hear back about that grant before the next board meeting. So I'm fingers crossed that we will hear back on that. Again, not expecting for us to be successful in that just because it is such a competitive grant. And there's very limited funding for apparatus that are of that cost. But all fingers and toes crossed. Operations, we have 52 incidents to date. During the past month, we responded to 2 different wildland fire starts within the district. We had rapid response from both Golden Gate Fire personnel and our automatic aid partners on both fires. And they were both successfully contained at less than an acre. I will caveat this, that we really got lucky on both accounts based off of the weather that had occurred around them. The first one was a lightning strike that hit a tree. It was in a very difficult spot to access. It was in a very difficult spot to even see. It was actually not caught by somebody within the district. It was seen by somebody who was down off of Highway 50 or off of 58. That was driving, or that was way, on the side of North Table Mountain that looked back and was able to see a column of smoke in a really remote area. It took a while for us to find it, and we had cloud cover, which is really what gave us that time to get there. So we got lucky on that one, and also a big thank you to the crews from Arvada Fire that were there and diligent and didn't let up when they got called for that. They actually got called for that call 15 minutes before we did. And were out there looking for it, and then they realized that it was in the district, up here in the district, and they then had us come back and respond, and a team effort was made to get that out. So big thank you to them.
Were y'all able to use your drone at all for that?
No, unfortunately,
But the county should.
the county had their drone, yes. So we did use the county drone. And yeah, our drone was not available, and we didn't have a pilot available. At that time, we are still working on our so we have. It's later in the rotation.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. We have 2 people who have now become fully licensed. Outside of Chief Enright to fly the drone. They are we're beginning their training process of flying the district's drone. And what will be required of them. We're gonna be doing a lot of drone practice in tandem with the fire trailer. So you will see the drone a lot over the next couple of weeks, probably. Personnel, we currently have 37. We had 2 volunteer firefighters that parted away with the district this last month. One of them was on paternity leave and decided that it was time to separate so he could focus on his family. The other was on is just really focused on school and athletics through school, through the university, and decided that she needed to focus there. So we thank both of them for their time and dedication to the district, particularly firefighter Peter Whiteneck, who was here for almost 6 years. And was very, very involved here for a very long time and spent a lot of time up here, was here on every big call, was here when anybody needed help. He was a great asset. And he will be greatly missed as part of the local department. Training, we had hazmat, we had a lot of training going on this month. We had hazmat training evolutions using some new tools, and we were able to do some evolutions that we've never been able to do here. Where we did some live scenarios where we were applying foam and doing a bunch of kind of more, I would call them advanced techniques for hazmat containment that we don't get to practice very often. And that was a really successful training. You had EMS training. We also had a backcountry rescue operations training. And I said vehicle fire operations because that was supposed to be what we did yesterday, but between when I was writing this report was when I got called about the fire trailer. And after we got the fire trailer, all of our trainings changed. So yesterday, instead of vehicle fire training, we had structural fire training in our first training evolutions in the trailer. Which we'll talk about in a second. We talked about remote pilot certification. And now let's talk about the trailer. So the DFPC burn trailer is a 2-story, fully functioning Class B
live fire trailer for simulations, for us to be able to do our checkoffs for certifications. As well as get repetitions on skills that we don't get to drill on a lot here in Golden Gate because we don't have a training center. And we don't have a training building. So we are going to be hosting the trailer for the next 6 weeks. That will be there. Every Wednesday from here to the end of August will be different evolutions in there. There will be theatrical smoke every Wednesday from now until the end of the month. We will also be using Class B, which is propane fire, inside of the trailer. It does not pose a risk to any of the wildland urban interface that we have here. It cannot escape the trailer. It does not put off enough heat for us to cause a fire outside. And so I want to rest assured that we are not, the district is not in a violation of any burn ban. When we use this trailer, and that it is under full control while we are simulating fires here. I also would like to make it known that we will be using water during those evolutions, because we are required to, in order to meet our live fire requirements for our firefighters. That water is going to be used very, very judiciously. We understand that we are under a drought scenario, or in a drought in general in our whole county. And that water is a very precious resource. So we will be using it very, very sparingly as required to meet the scenario requirements for our firefighter certification. So please know that while you will see us using water, we're going to be doing our best to use it as sparingly as possible.
So Kyle, is that coming from water trucks or from the well?
So it will come from the trucks, from the sister, or probably we'll be using the crane truck realistically. And then also from, the trucks as we have here. When we use a large amount of water, we will have to go fill it from the hydrant at the bottom, of the canyon, but we are going to do our best, like I said, to use as little as possible. We can theoretically fill the smaller trucks off of the well. We try really hard not to do that. A, it takes an eternity, and B, we don't want to overuse the well. So the challenge is that the water that comes off of the hydrant at the bottom of the canyon is actually City of Golden's water. And we have the ability to use that for fire suppression and limited use for training. But we, again, have to be judicious with that as well, because it is a resource that is being shared with us from the City of Golden. Let's see here. That's pretty much it. Any questions about the trailer smoke? There's gonna put out a lot of smoke. It does. We have gotten multiple calls in the past when we use it here. It's enough smoke that it can probably get picked up by the Pano AI, like we call dispatch every time we use it. So just know that it's gonna get smoky, but it's not real smoke.
So are you gonna put this on your website as well as
Yeah, really.
have it posted on the other websites of the canyon?
We probably
So
will.
people don't freak out prior to.
Yep, and then the other thing is that as we get towards the end of our session with the trailer, we're gonna be doing some larger scale evolutions that will require firefighters responding from stations in trucks. They won't be going lights and sirens, but it may seem like something is happening within the district, and it will be a training evolution, and we will be posting that's training evolution during that time. We are also going to evaluate potentially opening one of those training days, the final training days for spectators. To be able to watch our firefighters doing what they have been training on
So is all the smoke gonna be generated right here?
right here. Yeah.
So maybe it would be a good idea to request that Jeffco change its flashing sign down there to say, do not report smoke at the Grange.
Well, I think, I like the fact that it says burn down, but I think, we will do what we can as far as getting that message out. The big important thing is that Jefferson County Communications knows that it is active, so that if they do get a call, that they can provide that education, the fire department's training, it's not actual smoke. And there's no actual fire.
And what if there is an actual fire, and how does anybody tell the difference?
The ability for us to, the theater smoke versus real smoke, is, the real smoke is more sustained. And we would be able to see it, and we can turn off this smoke quickly and it dissipates. So we can't obviously turn off a real event. So we can tell the difference with that. Ellie, did you have questions?
Carl, would you give us the dates again that the smoke is going to appear?
It's gonna be every Wednesday until the end of August.
Okay.
In the afternoon, you will be able to see it from your house. Very, very
I'm sure we
clearly.
will.
Yes, so yes, every Wednesday from now until the end of August, there will be theater smoke.
So if it happens on a different day than something for.
Potentially, there may be days that they are gonna be using the trailer on Saturdays, potentially. So that would be the other day that if you saw something happening down here, where it may be part of a training evolution, but it should be limited to Wednesdays and Saturdays. NIT crew. So the NIT crew did complete their traffic incident management certification. I did have a typo in here. I thought that all of them had completed it. I think there is one or two of folks left that are required to finish that. And that allows them to operate on any of our roadways. It's a requirement for the county, and for our own emergency management. We also had other staff that had created or had gone through that incident management training, and it helps them during emergency response. It helps us create a better framework for that. Our home assessments team is kicking some serious butt. They're working with Jefferson County to, on the backside of FireSide, which is our assessment program that will be used by Jefferson County, also by our own home assessments. And they have spent hours and hours and hours and hours going through the backside of the system and making sure that the compendium, which is essentially the back information that's used to generate the reports that will be used for the county as a whole, meets our needs as a district, but also all of the mountain districts' needs. And our 3 home assessment folks have really stepped up and have done just magical things to make this happen. They also have started doing field training on home assessments throughout the district. I believe they've done at least, I know they've done one, I think they might have done 2 full assessments where they have gone and done the whole thing, where they're going to a home, doing the walkthroughs, doing the reporting in FireSide and the whole deal with Jefferson County, and they're doing that now with Dory as well. So very cool that this team from the district has plugged themselves in to Jefferson County and helped this program move forward in the way that they have. They are, not to be touting us above other people, other districts, but we really have, from my perspective, stepped up in helping this program be successful, and those 3 ladies have really put us on the forefront of that technology, and it's really cool that they've been able to do that.
I have a question on that.
Sure.
What's the difference between an assessment and a certification that you comply with the national standards, the IBHS?
Yeah, so very good question.
Thank you.
So IBHS is a IBHS is the actual certification that is, and you're gonna hear that term a lot over the next couple of years. IBHS certification is actually applied to a neighborhood scale more than it is for an individual home. And there is some discussion about this. This was part of the meeting that I was at this morning. we are going to hear the terms IBHS a lot. Because there is about to be a development that happens in Morrison. That will be the first IBHS. Wildfire prepared plus certification in the entirety of, I believe, the world. And it's gonna be happening above, in Willow Springs. And it is a big deal. It is happening. So IBHS certification is really more for that community-based certification. I know that other communities such as Genesee have looked at IBHS certification. And currently, the requirements for certification are not built for communities that have large spacings between the homes. So that's where that comes from. I think that there might be a addendum to that happening where it could be done home to home. But as it stands now, my understanding is that IBHS certification is community-based and the requirements for that community are not possible for our district to have, just based off of their density.
I don't wanna pursue it here, but I downloaded it and it does deal with home, the 0 to 5 foot clearance.
Okay.
Making sure that your vents are sealed with
Yes.
8th inch to a 16th inch wire mesh, et cetera. So
Was that for certification or was that off of?
certifications in two different levels. So
Okay,
maybe at a future session, we ought to go into it because it is buried in the House Bill 25-1182.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So a lot of this has been driven by that, and we will look at that, but basically to answer your question. The county assessments and our own home assessments are homeowner driven. They are not insurance driven. The information does not get shared with insurance companies. It does not get shared with anybody other than the homeowner themselves. If you choose to then share that information with another entity, whether it be an insurance company, IBHS, a realtor, whatever, anything like that, that is up to the homeowner individually. All of the information that is obtained during the home assessment by the district is confidential, and it will remain confidential. And all the way up to the county level. There's also a separation between what the county home assessments and the district home assessments are and the code. And then assessments that are required for permitting. Our team does not provide the assessments for county permits. That is a completely separate group of assessment or home assessors. They're not home assessors, of wildfire mitigation specialists that are going to be responsible for permitting. So just so we know, because we've been getting this a lot recently, defensible space permitting does not happen through the district. It happens through Jefferson County. We are not a part of it at all. We can give guidance on defensible space. That's what the home assessments are for. Our home assessments, or the guidance that is given by our home assessors, should meet the requirements for the code, but they are not the ones that will be issuing the permit. Does that make sense? Is there any questions on that? I know it seems convoluted. But it is an educational only process for us. It is supposed to only help a homeowner in a non-confrontational way. And allow them to gain information for them to act on.
So they're pure education, not.
Purely education.
Code assessors.
No code, nothing.
And the assessors under the mitigation, did they do that with Jefferson County or did they do that with homeowners in our district?
So they're doing it with homeowners in our district.
Mhm.
It is the same system that Jefferson County uses.
Right,
They may, especially during the beginning, we may have a home assessment person coming from Jefferson County with our home assessments person because they work in lockstep. but it's still educational. That the wildfire mitigation or the wildfire management division's home assessment program is still educational. The permitting process, which is through the planning and zoning department, is completely separate. At some point in the future, there may be some kind of joining that happens with that, but it is not right now. And it is not, that is not the intent of what is happening within the district. I just wanna make sure that is clear, because I think I've had 4 or 5 phone calls this week now. All right, let's see here. Strategic concepts and visions. So we started working with our legal counsel, Department of Local Affairs, so, as well as our DEO, to ensure that all statutory requirements and deadlines are going to be met for potential November 2026 Tabor ballot question. As discussed in the previous board meeting, the proposed ballot measure will prefer long-term funding for the district's apparatus replacement program and support implementation of the board's long-range fleet replacement strategy. We are still in the preliminary phases, as we will visit here shortly with the board. We're continuing coordinating with legal counsel and our DEO, and the board to ensure that we are remaining compliant with all of our election requirements. While making sure we provide the board with necessary information, to make decisions throughout this process. There is one or a little bit of change to our future actions and events. This should be the last thing, I promise, and I'll stop talking.
Don't ask any more questions.
Yeah, the one thing that's on here that is new is that, is the evaluation of station-based water supply. We have been relying on the green tender that's sitting in Station 83 to operate as a basically mobile system. We are evaluating the idea of creating water supply that will be above ground at Station 83, and I'm actually looking at what it would look like for us to do that at Station 81 as well. We do have below ground cistern at Station 81. We have had issues with it in the past, especially during the weather. The realities are that pulling water from a cistern during a cold weather event is very challenging. And after talking to some folks that are professionals in the cistern space, we have come to realize that putting an above ground cistern that could be gravity to both stations, to the actual station itself, would allow us to have a very quick filling time, as well as a protected area for us to be able to fill apparatus in a likelihood of negative or of a weather event. The previous concerns that we've had about above ground cisterns freezing is unfounded. It would take, I believe the math that we pulled up was that it would take 30 consistent days at like negative 30 degrees for us to freeze a 3,000 gallon cistern above ground. The only portions of above ground cisterns that have issues with freezing are the valves and the piping that would go into the station themselves, and that can be managed with heat tape. It is a proven system. It is a cost-effective system. It's something that we're going to continue to evaluate, especially as we look at maybe removing this green tender that we have sitting here to fund something that would be more long-term and substantial for the district.
I don't know if I missed it. How would you fill up the above ground can? Where does
So
the
we
water
would
come
be
from?
filling them, we'd have to fill them initially off of a water supply company, because we don't have legal rights to water for that until there's an actual fire event. And then once we draw the water from the cisterns, we would be able to refill them legally from water with our own tenders from the water supply that's provided at the hydrants at the bottom of the canyon. So that would be initially, the district would have to fill those cisterns with water. And then after that, we're in essentially what's called essentially the legal rights to fire water, for suppression. It's very complicated, but that's kind of how that works. All right, thank you for dealing with my long-winded report, there's just a lot to talk about.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sorry, I have to. When you say media attention, are you saying good media attention or bad media attention?
What was that? I can.
For the ambulance
Good
service?
media, yeah, solid, good media attention.
Okay, and then my other question was the drainage issues at the station, it's no longer on the 6-month plan, so I guess
Oh,
my
that-
question is. Where
That,
does that lie?
that was not supposed to be taken off, that was my fault.
Okay.
That was a typo. The one thing that I am looking at, if we're gonna do station 83, or a cistern, long-term cistern placement 83 would be actually in that plane. In which we have to actually correct that issue in order to have water there in the first place.
Okay.
We do have a question online regarding water from Steve. So what's your current water supply? We have at 83, so Steve, currently we have the tender filled at station 83. And we use that as a mobile cistern when we are not in winter. Just because those valves do freeze, and then obviously, I know that we have other water available in the area that is on private land. All right, that's that.
Since that name came up, what, has anything ever been done about all the flooding that you got from behind Station 83 that's coming from
That's,
above?
That's what we're talking about with the drainage issue. It
that's
has to
the
be done.
drainage.
Still on the 6-month plan. Oh, okay, still there.
That'll be addressed. It's always on the agenda. It's been on the agenda for a long time, but it'll be addressed if they decide to do something.
Yes, we will be, in general, it needs to be addressed in general. We do have a plan, but if we are going to put water storage, that would be available from within that station. We would need to utilize that space in a different way than we had thought, and it would have to go into that plan. Steve, to answer your question, have you tested it recently? We have tested the flows from the cistern, from the tender that we use as a mobile cistern. Testing for cisterns that are on private land is the responsibility of the private landholder. We can mention that, Steve. We do have a 10,000 gallon cistern right here on the corner. That is available below ground, just below, or right, I believe it does sit on Steve's property. But it is a 10,000 gallon cistern that sits right there. All right.
Community organization reports. Auxiliary.
I don't
Sally?
really have any updates, just continue to work on the pig roast and, went to the Grange meeting today to get an update for those that know that the Grange is gonna be doing a little bit of, remodeling here. And that will, the plan is that will end 2 weeks, before we have the, September 19th pig roast date. So, Terry and I will be talking probably once they do the initial, assessment, we'll probably be talking weekly just to make sure that all of that falls into the timelines that we all hope it does. And if not, we'll have some contingency plans.
Thank you.
Yeah, and just volunteers, anybody that knows any volunteers for the pig roast, we have a good group of new volunteers this year. And but we also have, because we're changing things, we'll need more people at the front table. We're gonna be having Venmo, we're gonna be having Zelle, and we're gonna maybe be having Zeppi and credit cards. And so that will require each person doing just one financial approach for the fundraising. So and Dee Dee on the food committee has a lot, I think we have all the volunteers, which will allow the firefighters not to be serving food this year. They're actually gonna be socializing, they'll have a lot of volunteer requirements and places that they'll need to be, but they'll also be able to enjoy dinner with the community. So we're really hoping that there'll be more socializing and meeting the firefighters and talking about mitigation and talking about fundraising and all those kind of things.
Okay. Range.
Nobody told me anything before. We're moving along with our plan for remodeling the bathrooms and being the kitchen floor. And we're doing some work out in the yard, at the egress, door for the crawl space. That's going to be taking place next Monday. As far as I know, we haven't got our money yet from the state range, but it's in the mail from what we hear. It apparently was mailed last Saturday in Durango, and I understand because Durango's a Class C post office, that it goes from there to Albuquerque and then back to Colorado. And hopefully we'll have it in the next day or two. Otherwise, we won't be doing any work.
Okay, thank you.
We do have new Grange members, so. Couple of new Grange members and couple of new community members.
All right, under, moving on, there's nothing under old business. Under new business, we have established the budget committee for this year. Budget committee, according to our bylaws, and correct me if I'm wrong, or if you wanna take it, is, consists of the treasurer, the chief, the bookkeeper, and one board member. And, recommendation. I'm hoping Merrick will continue on.
I'm happy to serve
On the
on the
budget
board,
committee.
on the budget committee again. We need to watch the scheduling very carefully, because I'm here for meetings, but I'm gonna be traveling a lot from now until the middle of October, so in between, I'm here sometimes.
I think we can just probably go off of your schedule,
Okay,
and then I think we just have availability.
great.
I know, yeah, that, I mean, we can work on that. You, realistically, I think we usually do it in 2 or 3 meetings. I
Yes,
think last time we did, we also did, we can do it remotely if we need to, so.
Okay.
Deb, who was that? Treasurer, chief, accountant, and board member?
Both treasurer, chief, bookkeeper, and, one board member who will be Merrick, if she accepts.
not the accountant, the book.
Yeah,
Bookkeeper.
that's what I'm. Okay.
So if, but that doesn't need a motion, does it? Does it need a motion? You need a motion?
I don't believe so, because that was also what was, if I remember correctly, that was what was adopted into the, or into the, bylaws, correct? Yes, I think that's correct.
No. So the budget committee is established. The next item is determining the mill levy increase of 4 or 4.5. Did you want to say anything, chief?
No, I think the one thing that, you know, I wanted to put out is that we have had lots of really productive conversations with community members. There's been lots of good questions about this, and I think the realities are that we've had a very, very strong positive response from the community. I think people understand why we need to do this. The fire truck cost of apparatus is a big problem. And many of you may have seen that it has gone all the way up into the federal government. There was a statement made yesterday by Elizabeth Warren, calling for an investigation into the cost of fire apparatus and why they have basically increased hundreds of percents over the last 5 to 6 years. And so, it is a problem again that expands way beyond just Golden Gate, and we have to plan for our future. And I very strongly believe that this is the way that we do this in a responsible, fiscally responsible way. And still remain solvent as a district.
And this is specifically the increase. The amount of the increase would be absolutely dedicated to fleet, refurbishment, replacement, whatever is needed.
Yeah, so just so we understand, and we are working with our legal counsel to make sure that it is written in this way specifically. But this resolution or this Tabor question will be specific for funding of apparatus revitalization or replacement only. It will go into a specific fund for that. And it is, so that we are basically putting protections into place to make sure that this fund is solvent for the future. Right, that's what the whole point of this is to make sure that Golden Gate Fire always has funding to be able to have a functional apparatus replacement plan. And that is what we're making sure that we are taking all the steps to do that.
Question. What's your question? Okay, so raising the mill levy 4%, 4.5%. What is the mill levy now?
9.0106.
Okay, so that would be adding 4% to the 9 point whatever,
4 mills.
4 mills.
4 mills.
Yeah, so that math is different. It's not a percentage.
Okay,
It is based off of the amount of you get charged off of your assessed value of your home, which is its own complicated math formula.
right,
But it is essentially a mill times whatever your assessed value is how much you are assessed by the district in total.
okay, so the 9 whatever is the levy that is just directed to the fire department. There are other mills in there in the
Correct.
taxes that go to the library.
School districts and all that.
Right, okay, so,
And so the way that this will look going forward, should this be successful, is that when the district certifies our mill levy every year, that the worksheet that we submit to DOLA will have 2 line items. And it'll have the general fund mill or the general operating mill, and then it will have the apparatus replacement mill. And it should be on the same worksheet, but it'll have separate numbers.
It's a budget.
Yes.
So
I have a question. Could you just review very quickly, because I know when I read it before, what the difference between 4 and 4.5 will mean
Sure.
as far as timeline?
Yeah.
Because I think that's probably one of the significant things is that if you do the 4.5, then you're able to act on the equipment quicker. Is
Correct.
the way I understand it. So could you just briefly explain that again?
I'm gonna go through this and I'm gonna have just, Chief Enright, if I miss anything, if you could speak up at the end. By going to 4.5 instead of 4 mills, what we're doing is increasing the frequency that we can replace a truck. And making all of the apparatus replacements happen sooner. So we are in a place where a lot of our trucks are already past their useful life. And we are still going to have to wait multiple years after this, if this is successful, to be able to do our first apparatus replacement. And then we have to wait multiple years after that to do the second one. And then multiple years after that to do the third. And if we do 4.5 instead of 4, it moves that timeline up, if I remember right, on average, almost 2 years. Chris, if you can add in on that, because you did all the math, I believe it was about a 2-year
increase or 2-year improvement in the timeline, is that correct?
That is correct. It's about a 2-year timeline. Depending on which individual piece of the fleet, it can be sooner than 2, it can be a little bit longer, but overall that 2 is the average benefit that we get with that higher mill levy amount.
So it sounds like a small amount, but it does make a pretty significant difference, especially when we look at it over multiple years.
My opinion is that it's easier to ask for it to begin with than to ask for it again or to add to it later.
You're here.
So I would be willing to go to 4.5.
Thank you.
I don't know what my husband thinks, but.
Anything you say here?
It is my strong recommendation to the board that we do pursue 4.5. I think we're at a point where we are behind on where we need to be for apparatus replacement, and we have to do something in order to get ourselves caught up and then get ourselves hopefully ahead of the curve where we're able to have this fund in, 2 decades from now, which is really the timeline that we're talking about, where this fund is really in advance of what we need it to be. And using those funds to be able to proactively instead of reactively replace trucks. And I think that we need to be at 4.5 in order for that to happen. And like I said, that's something where we're setting up the fire district 20 years from now. But I think it's pretty imperative that we move forward.
Debbie?
Okay.
I'd like to know how binding this resolution is.
How binding the resolution is. So binding in what respect?
When you go down to the whereases. The last whereas.
Exactly what I was gonna ask. Go ahead.
You asked it.
On resolution 1 or 2.
Either one,
they're
they're
both
identical except for the amount.
Both
So,
of them are the same.
Kyle, I'm sorry I didn't catch this earlier, but with the emphasis being entirely on vehicles, but the language of the last whereas includes capital improvements and anything else that the voters might.
I thought I got removed. Hold on.
Scratch it off if you want.
Under catch, Patty. Yeah.
So if you guys can line it out and we can edit the resolution.
Here, I've lined mine out.
Yeah. I thought I had removed that from the
I will happily-
template.
If you want the authority to do this properly, I'll be happy to move that we strike
Yes.
the last portion of that sentence,
From both,
including capital improvements
Thank you.
and other voter approved capital. improvements.
from both.
From the
Which
text,
line item is this?
it's the last
Oh,
line of the
whereas.
paragraph,
It says.
I thought that had gotten removed.
and it's on both of them,
After apparatus replacement period.
period.
Yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And take out and capital and voter.
Yeah.
Capital.
Hold on, I just wanna make sure it's not anywhere else in this.
It's not.
We had changed the line item we had changed line 4. Where it also had that and I had missed the first one, so that is my apology.
There it is.
My problem, my apologies. So yes, we do need to strike that from whichever resolution you guys decide to move forward with. If you decide to move forward with resolution, I think it needs to be
Strike it from both of them and then we'll vote on them.
Well, we need to vote on my motion first.
Oh, that's what I meant.
Could I ask one other
Yeah,
before you
on your
vote
motion.
on wordsmithing? In resolution line item number 4, where it says apparatus replacement, which we just agreed is the
Right.
reason we're doing this, is the additive word or revitalization.
What's the
I
problem with
don't
that?
see, this mill levy is to replace, not to necessarily dress up what you already have.
We have discussed that at previous meetings and revitalizing is can be done
Yes, so let me explain this just it is a good
Yeah.
point. For just reiteration. Revitalization would be for a full rehabilitation of an engine. Or for for an engine to be upfitted. So for example, if the fire district in the future was to buy a fire engine that was on a commercial cab. With a body that was separated from the cab. It would allow for the district to use this fund to replace the chassis and not the actual.
Drop the engine out and put a new one in,
Yes.
and you revitalize the machine that you bought.
Correct.
I'm thinking, it's just. Revitalization sounded a little bit like maintenance,
No,
that I would paint it up or, you know. Thank you.
We have a motion to strike on both resolutions. The the sentence, capital improvements and other voter approval capital works.
Carl second.
I seconded it,
Seconded,
yeah.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I,
so. Any more
Words.
questions or can we?
Words do matter.
Yes, they do.
thank you for catching.
I've learned long ago, the power of the written word transcends the power of the spoken word.
And I will. Create or I will edit the document. To reflect.
Okay.
But I think technically the one that you guys signed where it's struck is the legal document, that is violated. Yeah.
Since we have two resolutions, I think we have to make them.
so sorry.
Yeah, so I think you have to decide as a board which one you're going to vote on. And then vote on that as your resolution, that, they both have the same resolution number.
One is V two and one is V one.
Yep.
I would like to make a motion that we vote on approving resolution 2026-23 07 B1 to seek voter approval for a 4.5 mil capital funding increase. That's my motion.
Second motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and so to order. Got it. Do we need, you want us to sign this?
That's beginning this timeline. I do want to make a quick clarification for both the board and also for the public. During the previous meeting, we did discuss the requirements of the district as far as our operations. Should the district decide to move forward with this mill levy. The district is allowed to talk about the Tabor question in a informative light, using factual discussion all the way through the approval and submission of our question to Jefferson County, which will be after the August 20th meeting, which I think we were gonna talk about here shortly. So the district can openly talk about the Tabor question.
The board.
The board can, and the district can officially talk as a district about it. And as long as we are making sure that we're using factual, responses or statements. And even after that, we are allowed to respond to questions during board meetings regarding that. But after the certification of the language and submission to Jefferson County, which is the final approval that we will be moving forward with the Tabor question, that is when the district will be not necessarily holding much communication or any communication about the question moving forward. Trying to make sure I'm getting all my ducks in a row there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Opinion is
Opinions.
Yeah, we can express opinions at,
After the August board meeting, we
other
did,
than facts.
correct, we did think it was earlier than that. I actually had believed it was supposed to be July 20 or July 17th. But I was incorrect in that understanding of our timeline, so we are, just wanna make sure that we understand that if we hear the district discussing or talking about the Tabor question moving forward between now and when we certify the language, that it is something that is allowable under election law for the district and the board.
And I'd like to add, that does not prevent board members from, as private persons, for discussing and expressing opinions to others in private conversation.
So August meeting I'm looking at would be August 27th. Is there gonna be like maybe a community meeting before then? Or do you know that yet?
That's just a regular board meeting and that's pension board meeting also. It's our regular scheduled meeting.
So between now and the 27th, when everything should be in place, there won't be any more.
By the 27th, yeah, I had a special meeting discussion ahead of that, because the deadline was the 25th of August.
Okay.
Our meeting's the 27th, so we're gonna have to have a special meeting before that to certify or to vote on the language.
Yes.
Very important,
We have to approve both the draft and the official language.
yes. Okay, next on the agenda is voting on the contract with Circuit Rider, which is our DEO. The contract was sent out to board members for review. I think it's pretty reasonable cost.
Yes.
Lower than I thought it was gonna be, so. I'm looking for a motion to accept the service agreement with Circuit Rider
That's a DEO.
to be our DEO.
Designated election official.
I want to say that too.
They-
Someone probably uses it.
They said, yeah, they coordinate our election.
They handle a lot of the going back and forth with the county, with legal, making sure that the voter rolls are complete. And all the addresses hopefully are correct, all that kind of stuff, they do that. So we don't have
The
to
registered citizens.
And I'm looking for a motion to accept the contract or. Yeah. Make motion, I mean. Motion to accept the contract.
move that we accept the contract as it was presented. For, name the Circuit Rider organization to function as our designated election official.
For a second,
All a second foundation.
okay. All in favor?
Should we discuss where we're planning on being for this from,
Oh,
that Mike shared?
is that on the,
I don't think it's on there, it's on a.
Is it an
Email,
email?
yeah, the funding comes
Print it
from.
I did print it, here you go.
Excellent.
I meant to add that to the agenda.
Well, that's the email.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can also pull it up.
Okay,
You have it right there.
Yeah.
okay, you want to discuss that?
So this is from the treasurer, Mike Seaver, about payment for the DDO because this is not listed as an item in our
Budget.
FY 26 budget. We need to vote on we are approving the contract. We need to find the money. So here is what he says. It's suggested to make the initial payment, but we pay half at the beginning to start the contract and then and that is money down the drain. It's done deal. If the election, for some unknown reason, were not to run, then we wouldn't have to pay the rest of the contract. So but at the beginning, we would pay half of the contract, which would be $4,625. And we have a contingency fund of 5,000, so we could cover that amount from the contingency fund. The remaining balance, the same amount, 4625, can come from the capital expenditures, capital vehicles account when it is due. It probably won't be until December.
And just a reminder, we did have a budget line item for a full purchase of the chipper that the district purchased earlier this year in that budget. And we did save, we were able to have a very generous gift from the auxiliary that it is going to allow us to have those funds in that to be able to pay for the election. 15,000, yeah.
15,000.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
Yay.
That's
Yeah.
But do you think, I do think, from my opinion, it is an appropriate use of the funds because we have,
There is no free.
we are just for the apparatus replacement.
Very good,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
So y'all have the money, you're not
We have
depleting anything,
Yeah,
it's
no.
there, it just moves
We don't
around.
have
Moving it
a budget
around.
amendment, we're just gonna move the money.
And I will put this, if the board should decide or should choose.
Just follow the money.
Hold on.
If the board should choose that they would like the funding to come from somewhere else. I would like to make it publicly known to both the board and to the public. That I declined the raise that was offered to me by the district. And have offered the funding from that raise, from that difference of our line item to fund this item for the election. Because I feel like it is that important. So if the board should choose to reallocate that funding to cover the election, I would be pleased to donate or to offer.
So we're covered. All right. Ready for a motion to accept her contract?
Yeah, it's moved and seconded already.
Yeah, so we just need
Okay,
to-
oh, I'm sorry, I'll call the
Ready to go.
motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I
So
heard-
that motion, you're taking the money where it is and we're not touching.
Oh.
We're not saying where we're getting it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to
Still not.
clarify
They're
in my own
accepting
head.
the contract.
Yeah,
Okay, so we hadn't got to the money
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah, we had to pass the contract.
sorry, go
Make
ahead.
sure we had the money to pay her. All right. And we need to sign this and we'll use scan it to her or we can scan it to her because she needs to sign it. I don't have scanning abilities.
I can explain it to her.
Okay.
You can sign it, I'll send it to her.
Okay.
Do you wanna, Meredith, we should keep this original document
Yes.
with the file for your election. So if you have the ability to sign it and keep it with the board documents, it's probably best. Instead of me taking it.
That's fine,
Okay.
I'll scan it. It just needs to have signature page scanned.
Yeah, I think just signature page.
Good, my scan is getting grumpy.
I have this. Sure.
And this is part.
Oh, it's me.
No, it's got you,
No,
Vice
it's got
President.
me.
it's got you?
Says
Yay.
secretary.
This one.
That's the one we've done. That's the one that we have to change, correct? This is still the legal version, so you guys need to retain this one, which is the wet signed copy, and I will change the.
And I always make copies of it.
So I'll take this, scan it, and then I'll get this back to you.
Okay. All right. 5.4 was the addition, and this is the discussion of meeting a special meeting before the 25th of August to vote on the actual language of the that will be on the ballot. So I'm suggesting a special board meeting on the 20th of August, which is Thursday before our regular board meeting.
We'll find,
That time,
so, if we keep it on a Thursday.
yeah, is that good with you, Carla?
Yes,
And
thank you.
hopefully the other two board members will want to, whatever. I don't think I need a motion for this special meeting.
Call.
Yeah.
Any board member
I'm
can
gonna
call
go
a
ahead
special
and call
meeting.
the special meeting,
And
DV's
it's on the
already-
calendar already confirmed.
I think you said it was okay.
I already have it on the calendar.
Okay.
Is that a
Thank you.
board meeting or a public meeting?
It's a public.
Special board meeting, but.
Yeah. Again, it's to go over, review the language that's going on the calendar.
Thursday?
At 7 p.m., same time?
Yes, 7 o'clock here on the 20th. It'll be sent out with an agenda, just like the regular meeting.
We have a regular board meeting on 27th, so.
Next is public comment, any more public comment?
Let me check, I think there might have been some online.
Yeah, see if anybody online.
But we won't have bathrooms on that.
Let's see here, there was one question from Steve. Are you going to keep putting the district in debt? Current plan seems inadequate to buy a $720,000 fire truck when a $4 million increase will only yield $115,000 per year more money, and you stated that you want 720 trucks. So just a quick answer for you, Steve, the plan is for the district to only buy apparatus and cash or in funds that are already existing in the account. The district is not going to be using this to fund debt, no matter what the cost of the vehicle is, moving forward. So we'll just be using this fund, to fund the entirety of a purchase, based off of the volume of money that is in the account. So it doesn't matter necessarily what the cost is, but that's the plan going forward.
No debt.
Yeah, no debt. All right.
For the 20, these two bathrooms will be.
Any other questions?
That's it.
Okay. Our next regular board meeting, Dee Dee, are you okay with?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
We may have porta potties,
Oh,
but we're good.
for the special meeting.
Well, and
That'll be
next
it.
meeting 27th too, but,
That'll make it even
Just
more
make sure you
special.
go Before you come.
Yeah,
but
it's an easy solution.
there'll be porta potties.
Yeah.
They're starting the work on August 17th, and it's gonna go through the 19th,
So
so.
make it even more special.
Yeah, so anticipating there will be porta potties.
Yeah,
So
we're good, we're fine.
Okay. The next regular board meeting is the 27th. There is a pension board meeting before it that starts at 6:30. We have those twice a year and August is the time. So, I'll look for a motion for adjournment.
All motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye.